anxiety is of the future, depression is of the past, but happiness is in the now. All of that. And I think that kind of hit me, because anytime you get anxiety is because you're scared of what's going to happen in the future. Depression is staying in what's happened in the past and doubt, guilt of things that's happened. But happiness is in the now, being like, you know what, I'm present, like grounding yourself, like, look, I'm here right now. What do I have? Like, man has breath, I have goodness here, I can change things. Choosing to have that now is so important. And I like his what he says on the ego. Like, the ego tries to identify with things and find things to distract itself and build on this idea of being strong and prideful. But I guess our journey as humans is transforming and removing the ego and really going with our soul and being present and not trying to put importance on material things. Absolutely. I think that's something that I've really been thinking about recently, is that, you know, we all want to strive for happiness. And I think we think that happiness will come from when we make this amount of money, or we get this type of partner, we get this car, and we move out here and all these different things. But if you're not happy with how you are now, then how are you going to ever be happy? Like,
Absolutely.
How are you going to be happy when you get these things?
Absolutely.
Because you're going to get these things and you're going to be like, what's next? And it's going to always be a
constant chase.
It's like chasing forever, right? It's always going to be a constant chase of thinking that getting this thing or getting to this checkpoint always is going to be the way you get happiness. Whereas it's like, once you get there, you're like, oh, damn, I'm here now. Like, what next?
Next?
I thought you live your whole life chasing this thing, and you finally get it, and you're like kind of empty.
Let's start in the right place. So introduce yourself a little bit for the people them so they know who we're speaking to.
So I'm Jago Zen. I'm an artist, lyricist, poet, event curator. What else? I do a lot, man. Clothing brand,
I was gonna say.
And yeah, man, just a peaceful person. Do you know what I mean?
I hear that, and I vibe with that, and I really, really like. That's one of the reasons I wanted to see on today, because I think I met you one of your like a clothing brand thing.
Yeah.
With my boy Timmy that was there.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So I think since then I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then find out you're a poet and all these other things too, which I relate to. So I think it's gonna be a good conversation. But yeah, I always want to start in a place where I can kind of set the context for the people to understand who I'm saying across from. So talk to me a little bit more about your beginnings. You said you do a lot of things, and that is true. But when did you start? Like, where did you start? What inspired you to begin on this journey of yours?
All right, cool, man. Where do I start? I would say from young, I've always been creative. Like, that's always been, I think, my purpose, my vessel, the way I express myself. Always quite introverted, but I feel like being creative allowed me to be myself, to play with different characters, to play with my voice, to find my voice. And when I'm on stage, I say that's where you see me a bit more extra, a bit more of a character, like free, very confident. So I would say my journey starts from probably secondary school. I actually wanted to be an actor, so I started acting properly from like 2014. I had a drama teacher that really like was on my case, like really pushing me to really take it seriously, to take classes, to push myself. And yeah, so I was doing acting. At 14, I started at Shakespeare's Globe Youth Theatre. They had a youth theatre where it was just young people doing the Shakespeare plays, actually in the Globe. So I remember the first thing we done was Othello on stage. That was really cool. Then they've got this, how do you say it? Sam Wanamaker Playhouse as well, which is a smaller venue. And that was like my first time of actually, okay, now properly performing. Then I moved on to Fair Peckham. I saw John Boyega's rise, and he started off at Fair Peckham, started taking classes there. Really enjoyed it, was honing my craft. But I got to about 17. I was in a lot of theatre, I was in a lot of plays, but by the time I reached 17, I'm in like sixth form, like year 12. I just started to burn out. I was like, I was questioning my purpose and why I was doing acting. I was like, do I really want to be doing this? I just lost the love. I don't know how, I don't know why, whether it was fatigue. It might have been, maybe I didn't feel stretched. Maybe I was in an environment where I felt like I was the best, but I wasn't really being challenged like a footballer. Imagine being a footballer, like you're Ronaldo, and you're like slapping goals in all the time. You're thinking, Rod, like, where do I go from here? So I think that might have been a reason, but maybe naturally I just burnt out and I wanted to move on. So from there, I was always doing poetry, to be honest, like at that age, always writing, performing. And I thought to myself, rah, okay, I'm doing poetry, I'm doing spoken word. Well, why don't I rap? Like, why don't I learn how to rap? And I'm that big influence for me is Kendrick Lamar. That's my goal. And I was thinking like, rah, like, and I was just always listening to music, like from young, like my mom was always playing music in the car. When I got to a teen age, I would just be on the internet, like searching all types of stuff. Just got really deep into hip hop. And I was like, bro, I really love this art form. Like, let me just learn how to write lyrics and actually rap and perform. So started that first year, like 2018. I'm just trying to get to know how to do it. And yeah, I would say like 2019, just started to take it more seriously, started performing. Then I went to uni. And from there, I was just like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, and I think it was exciting to, obviously I like, was really into acting and kind of grew my craft, but now I was moving into something where I was a novice. Like I was still trying to learn it, and I think that's what made it fun. So I've been rapping since 2018. Yeah, been doing that. Went to uni, studied creative writing. Just was honing in my writing skills and stuff. Where do I go from here?
I mean, we can stay there because there's so many questions.
I can really sit here and tell my life story of my creative journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, so
But
much.
you know what? I think it's even more interesting to actually go deeper into that because there's so many points that when you were explaining that I had questions on. Because I think the journey, even up until what you just described, is fascinating to me. So obviously, starting with like acting, right? You sort of talked about the fact that you were in theatre and all these things. That's incredible. What did you learn from being on those stages? Because I want to get people to understand what it's like to be that type of creative at that early age. What did you learn that you kind of still carried on taking from that?
I think I learned improvisation. A lot in drama, you have to improvise. You have to know how to be flexible, how to deal with what someone's given you. So even like, I feel like in conversation, that's something that has really been inspired by acting. Just being like, you learn in drama you have to carry a scene. You have you have to embody this character and be able to be like, you know what, okay, if we go off script, we have to kind of bring it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to kind of continue. So I say that's one thing I've taken. How to project my voice. People like, I remember recently I performed again, like some spoken word. And someone's like, yeah, man, you just have such a powerful voice. So I think learning acting from a young age allowed me to know how to use my voice, know how to stretch my words, how to be punchy, and just have that confidence. And that's another thing that acting taught me is confidence, being like, okay, like how am I going to perform on stage? How am I going to convey this emotion and these words to the audience? It taught me a lot of things. I think it taught me how to be confident because naturally I'm introverted. So even when someone's like, Joshua, do this or like say this to you, I work with young people, so run the session. Naturally I want to kind of like stray away from it, but I'll be like, okay, remember what you know, like just carry. Most times people don't even know you're nervous. So you're kind of putting on a show, really. So it taught me that and to have fun, to know that you can. You don't have to be always serious. You don't facial expressions.
That's super important, especially for a poet. And I think like what's fascinating to me is the fact that these skills carry on. You know, I feel like a lot of the times the creators, the more I speak to creators, the more I understand that they've always been that way. They always had something about them that was creative, even if it wasn't in that field, you know, like they always did something that was creative, you know, like for me, like I was the football example where you were talking about, where I just wanted to be a footballer. So I was just like, up until I was like 17 years old, my whole time was spent doing football. But when I wasn't doing football, I was reading. I was like a massive nerd. Like I would read all the time. I was doing both, and it was like weird to me. But I was just always reading, always like interested in literature, and always interested in like learning more. But I guess that's kind of like what through line saw me. So even from then, I can still see that kind of the effects that had on me as an adult. So when you mentioned about like acting and like being interested in that, I think you even said something at the beginning, which was like you like creativity because it allows you to express.
Yeah.
Talk to me more about that. What did you like latch on at the beginning when you were like, oh man, I like this thing about creativity?
Bro, I think it's like, I feel like being creative is it's kind of, you like jump into a pool and you like, you're in this world and you're just drawing and you're writing and you're kind of creating your own world. And it's like kind of escapism. So for me, like writing poetry, for example, is just like you're taking your experience and you're putting it on a page, and instead of just speaking, you're actually like putting rhymes, or you're using metaphors, similes, imagery. And I think it's just so, there's something about it that's so freeing. You kind of learn like what you turn nothing into something. And I think that's something that's very, it puts you in a mode. You're like, bro, I actually just did that. Like even when you listen to music, and I might listen to artists and be like, bro, how the hell did you just do that? But when you do it yourself, you're like, right, I can do it too. So it feels like a magic weapon. It just feels like having the force in me, like, rah, like this is in my hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think
I completely agree. I completely agree. I want to actually touch on that and like let's delve deeper into that, because I think like a lot of people don't understand that even for the artists themselves, they're sometimes surprised by what they create, because like I feel like there's a voice, especially with me and with my poetry. There's a voice when I start writing that isn't. It's not even just my internal voice. It's like a voice that I allow to be. If that makes sense? You know what I mean? Like if I'm writing a poem, I allow myself to be vulnerable in that moment. I allow myself to speak the things that I really think, or if, like, you know, the rhyme allows me to think in certain type of way.
Yeah.
That allows me to kind of like say things in certain type of way more concisely that I would have been even able to understand, you know? I think that's that kind of like stretching of the mind to kind of like make sense of a difficult idea, or I take a big idea and like make it condensed so people can understand that. That is such a like a technique or a way of like looking at life that I think like creatives, especially poets, benefit from as they get older. Like obviously because you can see the world in a certain type of way. What have you learned from like your voice as a poet? What have you learned from like the ability to, like you were saying, do something that surprises even yourself?
I would say learning to convey a message. I think the biggest thing is like you write for yourself, but when you perform and you see how it hits people, it will make you think, rah, like what I'm saying is actually having an influence on people. So like we'll probably get onto it, but the piece I wrote for Frameless, it's like big on faith. So it's a depiction of, it's me writing a poem based off Rembrandt's Christ in the Storm on the Sea of Galilee. So with that, to write, I'm using a lot of Bible references in the poem as well. So like to write something and take Bible quotes, and people who are not religious or not Christian or don't believe in God are even feeling touched by it. That kind of showed me that even people who are not like of any belief can now take the Bible quotes that you've used in a positive way and that you've used in a poetic way and really be touched by it. That really shows me the power of lyricism, of poetry, of music. And I think that taught me like, like this is so much you can do. Like this is how far you can go with lyrics, with your message, with your voice. And just, I remember like the first time I did the poem, one of my mentors was like, bro, everything was perfect. Like the pauses, the inflection, the cadence. It gassed me up. Like, it gassed me up, and I'm thinking, right, it'll make you think the stuff that you're just doing in your bedroom, like writing it and just like practicing to yourself, means so much when you actually perform to a crowd of like 100 people. So yeah, man, it's just beautiful seeing how art speaks to people and really touches hearts. And I think that's the most important thing about creativity, really.
Talk to me about that then. What have you found about like you doing art and how it spoke to people? Like, what are some of the places? Like, for example, for me, right, I run a few poetry open mics events, like I was telling you before, and like my favorite thing ever is to see someone wander in there who's never like done poetry before, who's never even like they know about it, but they don't really like know about it like that. And then they sit in a crowd, and then they see everyone go up there, share like a deep poem or like a funny poem or whatever. And then they come out thinking like, this is amazing. Like, you know, they're like brimming with so much like life because they've just been exposed to like this group of people who are just like sharing poetry and like kind of like, you know, genuine with each other, you know, and you see a lot about how the effect of your poetry can have on people. Even if you think like, you know, like, I just wrote this poem, I don't know if it's good, I don't know if it's like, you know, perfect, I know I can do better. Someone's like, oh man, that poem was amazing, like you really spoke to me. How have you kind of like found that in your kind of experience of like performance and stuff like that?
The power of it.
Yeah. Like, how has it affected you, or how have your poems affected other people? How have you seen that occur?
I think it's allowed me to see how important it is. I'd say it's like kind of the voice of the voiceless. Sometimes people who feel like, and I think all of us are creative. Like, I think we all, if you're a creator, if you're created, you're creative. And I think we all have that power and natural abundance of creativity. I would say some people have just kind of found it, and other people haven't been challenged or been directed or mentored to find it. So I'm like, currently, book that you should probably read as well. I don't know if you've already read it, but I'm reading The Artist's Way. Someone was just talking to me about it recently, and they say like creativity comes from God. But I would say that the words are so powerful. So what I've realized is that sometimes you say the things that someone really needs. So even with that poem, like, I remember like someone seen it online, so I must have someone would have recorded it for me and I posted it online. And a friend, like a mate that I know, he might have been, I think he was going through it. And so to see that, it really touched him, like just to hear God, or just to hear like messages of faith. So I'm trying to think what Bible quote. I use a couple, like obviously I use Psalm 23, so the Lord is my shepherd.
Was there Matthew in there?
I'd have to, you know, it's so hard. Like, it's so hard to try. Was there a message from Matthew? I talk about Matthew as a disciple, but it was a lot of Psalms.
Was it like you of little faith? Because
yeah,
it's not, I remember.
Ye of little faith, did you think I'd leave you astray? No, there's power in my name. If you say it, then you'll be saved. The storm you'll conform to fear, anger and hate. But just know the storm comes after enduring the heavy rain. See, we all go through this pain. We pray our demons get slain. Just pray that you'll be saved. Hey, yeah, man.
Man, spit.
There was so many bars. I thought, what is it? There's what Psalms? I think Psalms 119. His words are light for your path and a lamp to guide your feet. I think that was one that when I was going to church, that I remember hearing at church. His words are light for your path and a lamp to guide your feet. Just God being the light and like guiding you. Psalms 103, he heals all my disease. That all of these different, for me it was like taking these Bible quotes and thinking, okay, how can I put it in this poem related to this art piece and make it emotional? How can I make it uplifting? So I think the power of that piece is that even if you're not religious or not Christian or not of any faith, you can see that like this is the motivation of when you're in a storm, when you're in a bad place, when you're in a rough patch, like whether you believe it's God or something's gonna pull you through the way through. I think that really was translated in a poem, which meant anyone could really like grow from it and really take from it. So
I believe that too, and 100% seeing that. Let's flip it now. What has inspired you? I want to talk about that now. You mentioned you're a big fan of Kendrick.
yeah.
So talk to me about like your musical influences too. Like hip hop might be one, but you know, you can branch out. But let's start with Kendrick. I think that's a commonality between both of us. How has Kendrick inspired the artist you are today?
I think Kendrick, yeah, I was gonna say he's a madman.
You're not wrong.
I think he's so like, I write songs and I'm like, how am I gonna get to this guy's level? That's what I always feel. And I think he's been able to make music that can be commercial and make hits, but with so much substance and so much conscious messaging that I'm like, I feel like artists listen to him and they want to get to that level and they want to get that package of conscious, very lyrical, but also pop hit or a big hit or a banger. And he's just inspiring. Like, obviously, when did Good Kid, Mad City came out?
2012,
October 2012. It came out 4 days after my 12th birthday, which is crazy.
Imagine listening to that when you're
bro. I don't think I listened to it probably when I fully listened to it, like that whole album, it's probably 2014.
Yeah,
that's where I really became a Kendrick fan. But obviously, when I'm that young in school, you're hearing like Swimming Pools, you're hearing you're hearing Money Trees, you're hearing Don't Kill My Vibe, you're hearing them lot. But actually, like, I remember sitting down in 2014 and be like, oh, let me take this in. This is a whole album. And I was listening to albums before, like, as a kid. I was just like, I think because at them times we used to download music. Really, I don't think streaming was as popular. So we're just there, you know, finding little sites to download the music. So I would download, I download bare music. At them times I listened to, I think everyone was listening to Drake. I was a big A$AP Rocky fan. But I really, 2014, got into Kendrick. I'm listening to Good Kid, Mad City, and I'm like, what is this?
What was your favorite song on that album?
I don't even know. What's my favorite song on
Mine is Sing About Me. I'm Dying First.
That's such an amazing song.
That is such an insane song, bro. Like, that song, like even like, I mean, like the one of the things that I think Kendrick is absolutely insane at is his ability to tell stories.
Yeah.
And that song and his ability to go into other people's perspectives, which is what makes him such a crazy writer. Because maybe you can talk about your perspective, but can you like really put your mind in someone else's shoes and like really write about them with lyrics and rhythm and like just incredible storytelling? That song kind of like, and then also the last part of it, which I'm Dying of Thirst. That part too, and like the whole cohesiveness of that is incredible.
It's his ability, to tell a story in one track and also tell a story in the whole album.
Yes.
It's mad.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have a favorite song on To Pimp Butterfly. Do I? He's one of them artists that he's my favorite artist. So sometimes I'm like, I have favorite sons,
but
I can't
change.
I can't just say that's my favorite song.
Yeah.
Songs that I really like on that album. I really like The Art of Peer Pressure. I like Real. I remember when I was young, listening to Real and be like, this is very interesting. Like, what makes you a real person? Because it was that idea of what makes a real N-word. That kind of changed me because I'm young and you're young and you're kind of ignorant. You're like, and you're growing up in a social media era where it's like, what does it mean to be a real person? What makes you real? Is it money, cars, clothes, like girls and stuff? And then that song was like, no, but what's real? Real is taking care of us.
Real responsibility.
Do you know?
Real is God.
Do you know what I mean? Real is actually like being real with yourself and being honest and not being afraid to be yourself and feel like you have to be a gangster or
conform to a certain ideology,
or be this person that society wants you to be.
100%.
So that kind of hit me hard.
100%.
But yeah, that album's just a masterpiece.
The question I had, right, and to
inspires me.
Yes, to kind of like I wanted to talk about the idea of like the two divergent paths of music, right? Because I feel like, and this might only who you think about this, right? But I feel like every generation we get 2 artists who represent 2 different sides of music, right? You know, you get, for example, from like, you go from like Michael Jackson and Prince.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know much about them, but they represent 2 sides, and one's more artistic, one's more pop and commercial. And it feels like every time the person goes pop and commercial, they're now being, they're pushing ideologies which like the kind of like the media or like the mainstream wants to see. And it's never the ideologies that what the people actually need. Same thing with Kendrick. You know, Kendrick and Drake, you could say. You know, Drake pushes this ideology of get girls, get money, whatever, you know. And then I think he's changed from how he used to be at the beginning, which is why I was a massive Drake fan, because at the beginning he was more about his feelings and, you know, you see in that perspective. And Kendrick has now stepped into the role of like, actually be real, follow God, like, you know, be real with yourself and, you know, stand on what you know to be true. What do you think about that? What do you think about the role music plays in the consciousness of people? How do you think it's evolved over time? How do you think we can, or do you think it's a thing where we're trying to wrestle? Is it like a, both always trying to wrestle each other?
I think that's an interesting question. I think, I don't even know where to start with. I think music is always going to be different for everyone. But I guess the main thing is, like, there's so many different artists that I like, that there's so many different artists you can listen to. And obviously, like what you're saying with like Prince and Michael Jackson, I probably listen to more Michael Jackson than Prince. And I think they're both like very artistic. Were very artistic. But I hear what you're saying. And even like in the Kendrick Drake beef, like Kendrick kind of said, I'm Prince, you're M type thing. Wait, what did he say?
He did say that.
He said, when he said Prince outlived Mike Jack. But I mean, there's so many different sides, because you can say that Prince and MJ, you can say those were 2 like the big titans in pop and as artists at the time. And people kind of created a rivalry, but they weren't really a rivalry. I remember I was watching recently, Prince had an interview where he was saying that like Michael Jackson wanted to do a song with Prince. What song was it? That
would have been sick, bro.
Yeah, it would have been sick. I think MJ wanted him to do a duet, but Prince said the first line was like, it was something about, he wasn't
trying to say.
He was like, the first line, and it was a bit like, okay, he must have referenced Your Body. They said, why is this the first line if we're doing a duet? It's not making sense. Like, are you talking about my body, like, type thing? So there wasn't really any beef. I think they both admired each other. But I think naturally, even the way that we kind of always want there to be beef. It's like Messi and Ronaldo.
Yes.
You kind of want, when there's the 2 biggest
you just like
people of that industry, you always kind of want to do it head to head. And the same kind of goes with Kendrick and Drake. Now that is a real beef, but it didn't have to be that way. Do you know what I mean? Like, like when they came up, they were doing songs together. Poetic Justice, Buried Alive interlude. That they was like contemporaries. You were doing songs together. Obviously, down the line where they started colliding, and naturally in hip hop is more like the biggest titans like having a beef, and then obviously you have J. Cole, the big 3. I guess he was in the middle. So I think people naturally want there to be competition, and that goes. It's everything. Pepsi, Coca-Cola, and I think it's nice to have that competition. But I think with music, it's like, music is spiritual. I think there's always going to be a place for 2 opposing things. Like, before the Kendrick beef, I was like, 2023, my most listened to artist was Drake.
Same.
You know what I mean?
Same.
It's crazy. And then, I'm not going to lie, Kendrick killing Drake made me kind of move back. I was like, rah. Because obviously, Kendrick is my goat. So I was like...
But you see what I'm saying, though? Like,
you know what I mean?
The idea of like... And I was the same, which is why I noticed something after the beef. I was like, oh, it felt to me that like, even though Drake was my favorite artist, what he was talking about wasn't like really hitting with me. And then when Kendrick came back, what he started talking about was really hitting with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know if maybe it's an age thing where we get to a certain age and we start to like look for more substance
Yeah.
than just like great music, like it's just good sonically. I think Drake provides good sonic music, but you know what I mean? Like, is there a balance? That's always like a tug of war.
I think it's a balance because, again, some people might say, like, sometimes I see Drake as music you can play all the time. He has music for every emotion. And I think music is very spiritual, it's very emotional. Like, I might not, Kendrick is my GOAT, my favorite artist. I think he's one of the best artists of all time, if not the best. But I'm not going to say that. People will say I'm reaching. No, MJ is definitely probably the best artist of all time. But Kendrick's definitely up in that list. But I might not listen to Kendrick's music all the time. Whereas Drake is a bit more palatable. And I think kind of Kendrick said that in the beef. Like, your music is pacifying. Whereas you can play it all the time and it's easy there. But Kendrick stuff is very revolutionary. You really have to be in a mindset to take the deep messages he's saying and to take in these stories and to really think deeply about what he's saying. But I think that's what makes it special to me, is that it's timeless. You know what I mean?
Do you think music should have a purpose? Or do you think you can just listen to it and just enjoy it?
Depends on what type of artist you are. Like, I think me saying I'm a Kendrick fan, people will be confused if I say I listen to Yeet. Or I listen to Cardi. I listen to everything. Like, especially in hip hop.
Yeah.
I listen to everything.
Yeah.
There's certain artists I don't listen to, but I will listen to Cardi and Kendrick in the same day. I'll listen to Jid and Yeet in the same day. I'll listen to Young Thug and Little Sims in the same day. Like, I listen to Dave and who do I listen to? Lancy or Sench in the same day, because you go through different vibrations. At one moment, I might have mad energy, so before coming here, I might listen to some Yeet to kind of get my energy out. But I might be taking a walk and I might listen to Dave's new album, or I listen to some J. Cole to really, like, a song I like right now a lot is J. Cole Home Soon, or Dave's new album's amazing.
Yeah,
it's a boy you played the harp.
That's sick.
Or
that song is,
you know, History. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that's the thing. I think the biggest thing with music is, if you know, especially like as up and coming artists, if they don't get the time of day, and it's hard because in the game you kind of need money to push it and get on the radio or market and get your video views and do ads, which is like very sad. But at the same time, it's so weird. Like, it's a dichotomy, because some artists are underground and don't get heard of, and there's other artists that can like grind and get them TikTok views and naturally not put a lot of money in. Like DC3, he's kind of naturally built his fan base online, making Christian music and really lyrical, and he's gotten to that million followers. He's winning awards now. He's doing songs with Lecrae and all these big artists, and he's getting them cosigns from Dave. I think he was literally with DJ Mustard at Kendrick's tour. So it's this dichotomy. But I think my thing with music is, when you have a message and you're a really talented artist, but you don't get the time of day because, you know, maybe you don't know how to market yourself, or you don't have a manager, or you're not signed to a label, or you don't have the money to really push yourself and promote your product.
What do you think about that, though? Like, what do you think about the fact that music has now become a promotional and self-promotional kind of game, rather than it is about just about the craft?
It kind of, it's difficult because it kind of always was that. It's always had that aspect. Like, you hear artists saying that they had to, back in the day, they had to sign to a label. You had to sign to a label. You don't have the internet to just kind of do it yourself. So you had to be really good to get signed and to have your music pushed out. Like, the label was the most important thing if you wanted to be an artist, because they had the money to pay for your videos, to get you on radio, to get you interviews, to get you played, to get your CD out. So it's a weird like pendulum. And I think now it can feel hard, because I would say a lot of it is anyone can make music. Like, anyone and their mom could be a rapper or a singer and maybe not have a lot of talent but have a lot of clout. Like, there's a lot of people who aren't that talented, but because they know how to market themselves, or they've already built that audience from maybe YouTube or TikTok, that they can now like spam streams. Whereas there's artists I know that are really like, really love this, that really have a message, that are really talented, that are struggling. So it's hard. It's a hard game, and it can be sad sometimes. And I do feel like people say that music is dying. I would say I don't even remember the last. I feel like 2017 for me, like looking at it, was one of the last years where music felt like crazy. And not to say there hasn't been amazing albums since then, but I feel like people say a lot 2016, 2017. Even for me, 2015, especially hip hop, 2015, great year for music. And I don't know what's happening now, but
I think, and I don't know what you think about this, right? I think what's happened is that there's been a change in the reason why people make music, or people are not making albums anymore. They make really good songs that can go off on TikTok. Like we just talked about, most people want to be marketable now. Like I think the labels decided, actually, if you want to be popular, if you're not a big artist, you gotta make a banging song that can go on TikTok, that can be 2 minutes long, that can be, so the formulaic aspect of it, the kind of like, we're gonna microwave it and get out to people, as many people as possible. That's changed how people approach music.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like affected the whole industry. People like, oh, how do I move in this?
You have to go viral with the song.
I've heard a lot of people are stuck in that.
Yeah, and I would say that's, you know what? That's a good example, because obviously when MJ is making Thriller, he's not thinking about, is this gonna go crazy on TikTok?
Literally.
And I would say that's even mad, because he's selling 1 million copies first week when you actually have to leave your house and go to the store. Whereas now, like, streaming is so messed up that an artist that drops an album and is on a label, they struggle to get like 25k sales first week. So I would say maybe social media has ruined music, because I guess people are just making more fast food music rather than me. Like, I really want to make a song that tells this story or conveys this emotion that really touches people.
What advice would you give to an artist that wants to do that wants to make an impact as a musician, wants to actually leave, think this is their purpose, and actually wants to actually do something in this industry? What advice would you give them about like how to move in the music industry?
I don't even know if I'm qualified to give advice, because I'm still learning myself. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, but what have you learned?
I would just follow the artists that you like and see their story and how they made it. So for me, I'm thinking, like, as an artist, I'm like, raw, how do I get to that J. Cole, Kendrick level of being a lyrical, conscious, conceptual artist, and having that fan base or that core audience that really likes you? So my advice is just, bro, make the music for yourself. Think about longevity. Think about what you want to be remembered for. So even me, even though it's like I've got, as an independent artist, you have to think about how you're gonna market this. You have to think about spending money here and there. It's just the artist. I say the advice I give to myself that then the artist can take from me is that just think about long term what you want to be doing with music. I think recently I was like, raw, like, what am I trying to do with it? Like, is this for me? Is this my path? And I think the biggest thing for me is that I love music so much that I know I'm fine with working a job and still just doing it for the love. So I think that's the main thing. People can hear your music, and so I think especially in this like viral TikTok, social media era, is that you can hear when someone's just trying to gimmick and just get a couple views and go viral, and you can hear when someone really cares about the music.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So it's like, really take your time with the craft and just follow your heart, man.
100%.
So I know for me, it's like, I want to be making amazing albums like Kendrick does. Do you know what I mean? I want to be rapping as good as Nas, as good as Wu-Tang Clan, as good as J. Cole. And so that's how I'm going to take it. I want to be up with them guys. I want to be considered great as them guys. So yeah, man, just really think about where you want to take it. Because I think anyone can make it. As much as it might be hard, it does take time. Lil Sims, like, took her years to grind independently to make it where she is now. And she's an inspiration. Same with Dave. They, especially in the UK, as a UK artist, they show it's possible. Like, they show the grind and the years of work and time and putting in them hours and practice hours to really make it. So
100%. And I think that's kind of like, I think that kind of goes across all kind of like disciplines. It's not just music. I agree.
Yeah.
I think if you want to do anything, you have to understand the time and the effort that would take, the growth that would take within yourself, the kind of humility you have to put towards like the actual craft of it. You can't get too egotistical about, oh, I gotta hold on to this. You have to be able to let that kind of perspective of like, oh, I'm just growing in this. I'm just like a student of the game, and you got to be a student of the game for as long as possible. Another thing I wanted to talk about also is your clothing brand.
Yeah.
So you have a clothing brand.
Yes.
Talk to me about that. Talk to me about the name, the idea behind it, why you started it, all of that.
Okay, cool. So obviously my artist name's Jago then. So when I started, the reason why I started the clothing brand, I think I've always been into fashion. But I think I saw like a gap in the market where I'm buying these clothes and they're nice, but I felt like a lot they had imagery I didn't like, whether it's skulls or dark colors and certain imagery or negative imagery or messages, and I was like, do I really want to be wearing this? And I thought I kind of saw a gap in the market where is there really positive, colorful clothing that represents how I feel. So that's why I kind of came up with the idea. So I was like, really like coming up with names. I really wanted to use Zen. So Zen for me, like XYEN, when I created it, obviously the original meaning ZEN, Zen, stands for peace. And the way I spell it, it's actually an acronym. So it stands for X stands for unknown, and then Y, emotions never end. So that kind of means, you know, we don't understand. We all have emotions, and we don't really know why. They never end. That we always have emotions, and to even achieve peace is to realize that you have to control your emotions. You have to work on them every day to reach happiness, to reach that inner peace. So I think I settled with the name WRLD XYEN because world peace. But what makes it different is like that understanding, that meaning, that really we're not going to achieve world peace until we achieve inner peace. So our tagline is peace inside, peace worldwide. So it's that idea that to change the world, to make the world a better place, to make the world a more peaceful place, is it starts with us. So if I'm able to achieve inner peace and self-love, and I pass that on to you, and you achieve inner peace and self-love, and we pass it on to the next person, and the next person, and the next person, and the next person, eventually we'll all achieve world peace. Which is hard. It's not an easy concept, but it starts with us.
I think it's true.
Do you know what I mean? It starts with us. And I started in 2023. Started ideating, coming up with ideas, going back and forth with designers for the logo, which is like the Peace Kid logo that you might see. I don't know if you're gonna throw it in the edit. But yeah, man, it's hard. It's hard running a brand by yourself.
Talk to me about that. I was going to be my next question. Some of the difficulties, and obviously difficulties too, but what are some of the things that you've actually gained on the back of those difficulties about running a brand by yourself?
It's fun, but it's hard. I think learning business, like most of us, we don't get taught it, so you're kind of learning on the fly, like how to invest the money, where to spend it, designing the clothes, talking to manufacturers, getting the right designs out, learning how to sell and market it. So many different things. Packaging, shipping, everything is hard, but it is fun. Like just learning how to do it all yourself. It's been amazing. Like actually being able to go from idea to the product to people wearing it, and like doing photo shoots and stuff is the funnest thing. And actually like going out there, like doing pop-up shops, pop-up stores at events, and like connecting with people and people seeing the brand and really liking it or purchasing it. That's what's made it fun. It's easy to like kind of lose track of why you're doing it because of how hard it is to run a business. And I did take a break for a while, but you know, when you see the impact it's having and people are like, when you next drop in, when's the next pieces, it does make it fun. I guess the main thing is like funding. So hard, and especially in, I guess, the climate we're in now, the cost of living climate we're in now, does make it a bit harder. But I have big dreams for the brand. Same with the music. I have big dreams, and I think a lot of people have like resonated with the brand's ethos and like the whole idea of WRLD XYEN. And yeah, it kind of showed me like a lot of people want that. A lot of people resonate with that idea of inner peace and wanting to transform and be at peace and have that purpose and that self-love and spreading that with other people. So yeah, man.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think that idea, and I think that's kind of, when I saw it too, that was a big thing, big factor for me, was the idea and the ethos behind it. Because I do think that because you like you mentioned, when you're kind of like wearing something that doesn't represent what you think about the world, you're kind of forced to kind of represent that brand. You know, whether it's something that of words you don't really relate with. There's something that does that something to your ideology or like your thinking. But when you represent an idea that you actually believe in, you know, and I'm happy to see that people are now taking upon themselves to actually build clothing brands and actually like put their idea of what the brand should be, what the ethos should be out there. I think world peace is such an important thing. Inner peace also.
Yeah.
Such an important thing, because there's in the world that we live in, there's so much to be, like you mentioned, emotions never end. There's so much to be emotional and have like this kind of constant back and forth about. I think inner peace, you know, come back to Kendrick. Like one of the things I love is a line he talks about, like he just wants inner peace before he dies. You know, like inner peace is like one thing that, you know, I think each of us should strive for.
Yeah.
I think it makes the people around us happier if we're also in peace.
At peace with ourselves, yeah.
Exactly. But also makes the world better. How have you found your journey towards inner peace? How have you found that kind of path? How have you discovered it, lost it? How have you kind of discovered it again? What's that been like for you?
It's a journey, you know. I think that's the biggest thing, is knowing that the journey to happiness, to peace, to love is it's a long one. It's not impossible, but it takes time. And I think we all just go through these phases, we go through waves, and we go through the seasons. So even now, do I feel like I've reached full peace? Probably not. But it's knowing that, I think the biggest thing is not feeling like peace is a destination. Is knowing that it's here with you. So even back to Kendrick, like the album I really like is Mr. Morale. And he quotes Eckhart Tolle. Like Eckhart Tolle is a big part of that album. And I've really been interested in his philosophy.
Shout out Eckhart.
Yeah.
New Earth is a great book.
I bought it recently, but I'm one of them people that, sidebar, I'm one of them people that buys books and I'll start reading that.
You hold it, I'm like that too. Yeah. But you can't come back to it.
Yeah, but I've got his The Power of Now. I've read it a bit, and A New Earth as well. But just from watching like video analysis on Mr. Morale and listening to the album, I think that idea of the now and that peace and love and happiness is in the now has really made me think deeply. What was it that I saw recently that I think was it anxiety is of the future, depression is of the past, but happiness is in the now. All of that. And I think that kind of hit me, because anytime you get anxiety is because you're scared of what's going to happen in the future. Depression is staying in what's happened in the past and doubt, guilt of things that's happened. But happiness is in the now, being like, you know what, I'm present, like grounding yourself, like, look, I'm here right now. What do I have? Like, man has breath, I have goodness here, I can change things. Choosing to have that now is so important. And I like his what he says on the ego. Like the ego tries to identify with things and find things to distract itself and build on this idea of being strong and prideful. But I guess our journey as humans is transforming and removing the ego and really going with our soul and being present and not trying to put importance on material things. Absolutely. I think that's something that I've really been thinking about recently, is that, you know, we want to strive for happiness, and I think we think that happiness will come from when we make this amount of money, or we get this type of partner, we get this car, and we move out here, and all these different things. But if you're not happy with how you are now, then how are you gonna ever be happy? Like, how are
Absolutely.
you gonna be happy when you get these things?
Absolutely.
Because you're gonna get these things, and you're gonna be like, what's next? And it's gonna always be a
Constant chase.
It's like chasing forever, right? It's always gonna be a constant chase of thinking that getting this thing or getting to this checkpoint always is gonna be the way you get happiness. Whereas it's like, once you get there, you're like, oh damn, I'm here now. Like, what
that's
next?
nice.
I thought
Yeah.
you live your whole life chasing this thing, and you finally get it, and you're like kind of empty.
And also on that like topic too, I feel like one of my biggest understanding as I've grown older is the idea of how to create my own world. That, you know, that I put peace at the forefront of it, and to create my own world, and to know that like no matter what happens in the outside, I can actually be okay. And you're mentioning about the journey towards kind of that is so important. That idea of like letting the ego, and I have a lyric in one of my poems, and it's like letting go of the ego. Something about letting go of the ego. I'm forgetting it now. Forgetting it.
You're on the podcast, you start forgetting your lines, man. I was trying to recite the poem, and I'm like, I can't recite it. I can't even recite certain lines if I don't say it from the top.
Yeah, exactly. Killing the ego by letting something.
Yeah.
But my point was about like idea of like knowing that the ego identifies with things and wants to hold on to things, and by doing that, all it does is make me kind of be outside of myself. And then, like, you know, you have to really just kill the ego. And by killing the ego, you can expose yourself as who you are, but also you can change. You can connect with people. And like our society teaches us so much to hold on to things, to kind of consume things, and to think things are ours, you know. And I think to kind of reverse engineer that and to go backwards and be like, actually, I don't associate with these things. These things are just transient.
Yeah.
All of it is transient. I think Eckhart definitely taught me that, you know, like listening to his kind of, you know, he's got like this meditation thing that he does, you know, listening to his meditations, and, you know, kind of like, you know, listening to a lot of his talks, it kind of opens my eyes, and that whole kind of meditation kind of industry opened my eyes to like the idea of the soul outside the kind of the lived reality that we all live in, you know. And that kind of, you know, helped me towards peace, you know. Another thing that helped me towards that is that understanding faith. You know, I feel like faith was, to me, a massive thing. I know we talked about it before, about like how most of the same. Well, I grew up in a very religious family, and as I growing older, it's about finding my own relationship to that, rather than what was taught to me. And like that's been in like, okay, understanding what is truth and what do I relate with, and, you know, and finding Christianity and finding Christ specifically through that, and like all that relationship and my journey with understanding his words, and, you know, understanding the Bible and its way different meaning now that I'm older, you know, like lived experience made me actually understand some of the scriptures, you know. And I think that's been a fascinating journey for me. But what has your journey been like? I know you talk about peace and faith in your poetry, and also you kind of lean into peace in your clothing brand. But what's your journey been like with faith? Is that where it's come from? What's it been like?
Yeah. So I think we all have our like spiritual journeys, and our journeys of faith. I say for me, I've kind of gone through every, what I say, archetype. So like I grew up in I'm Nigerian. I grew up in a Naija boy. I grew up in a Christian household. Not like my parents weren't too like mad religious, like mad strict. Even to this day, they're quite relaxed, but they do believe. But yeah, grew up in that. Used to go to church with my aunt when I was younger. Went to Catholic school, so then started, you know, you pray a lot in Catholic school as well. Always just have been around faith, around Christians and whatnot, mainly. And I got to like an age, you kind of get to like a teen age where you start to question things, and you kind of become a rebel. So I think I got to like probably 16, 17, where I started to really question Christianity, and I didn't really believe in it, and I thought there was a lot of contradictions. And I wasn't sure about God. I was like, bruh, if God is this, can I go through like, oh, but if God is if God is real, why we suffer so much pain, and why do I feel like he doesn't talk to me and stuff. So I went through that. So I've gone through like just accepting Christianity as a child, to then kind of being agnostic, and then being atheist, and then around 2019 I started like getting into like really trying to figure out what I believed in, like different philosophies. I was like reading a lot about Buddhism, Taoism, New Age spirituality. So I was on that for a bit. And I think for me, I'm just a man of wisdom. Like, I see wisdom in all of it. I think everyone's religions is a way of coping, and also just a way of finding peace, finding purpose, finding God within yourself. So yeah, I was just always just researching all those different things, reading books and whatnot, or searching online. Then last year kind of came back to Christianity, got baptized, born again. And then a lot this year was going to church, reading the Bible, having fellowship with close friends. But I kind of started to feel like an imposter. I really felt I didn't feel like it was me. I was happy I got baptized. I was happy of like going to church. I did get some stuff out of it. There was times I went to church and I did feel light after. And I think it can be an amazing place if you find the right church. But I just felt like an imposter. I felt like I was trying to become this archetype of what a perfect Christian is. But in my heart and in my body, I was just like, this doesn't feel like me. I kind of felt lost. I didn't feel like it was resonating with me. So I'm in a place now where I think for me, it's just about balance. I think I'm a person that sometimes I can be extreme. I'm either like, I've had times where I've been really against like religion and really for it.
Yeah.
But I think I'm a Libra as well. So
Same, bro.
Yeah, so I'm really about balance, and I just realized, okay, I just think I need to not be as extreme, because when I was trying to be really extreme into Christianity, it just didn't work for me. So now it's like I'm in a place where, and a big thing for me as well was, I'm going to church and I'm talking to Christians and I'm reading the Bible. I think a big thing for me with Christianity is that I do see the power of Jesus. But I'm like, and we was talking about it before. I have like Muslim friends. I have people who are spiritual and all these different things. And I think we're all trying to find God within ourselves and that peace. I can't say that if you don't believe in this thing and if you don't believe in this ideology and this person, you're going to hell. There's certain things I'm learning about the Christian faith, and I'm going to church where I don't feel like that. I might agree with some things, and I do see the life of Jesus, like, it's so inspirational, so miraculous, and can teach anyone a lot and can be very inspiring. Like, I think we'd all inspire to be Jesus. He's the perfect human. But there's so much different things in the doctrine and in a faith that I'm like, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, look, this has been my journey, very similar. So anything I say, I'm like nodding my head to, because I completely agree. I think the crossroads, I think Christianity is at in the modern age, is to come to terms with the kind of the ideology on some of the kind of more radical, in not in their perspective. Their perspective of this is faith, and to believe, you have to believe wholeheartedly, which I understand. But to others is radical because it's the sticking point. I think for every Christian, there comes that point in time where you have to ask yourself the question of like, where am I on that thing? Am I able to follow what I know in my heart to be true, which is like, I have to love people and I have to love everyone, because if I'm trying to be like the perfect human being, which was Christ, his whole idea was to love.
Yeah.
You know, there was few things he was against, but people and like other people who weren't doing evil, he loved them. And it's like, which part of the doctrine do you hold most priority? You know, and I think that kind of relationship and that finding peace with that is difficult for Christians. And I think a lot of people are being either, I think like there's so many stages to it. Like a lot of people are being turned away from the hedonistic lifestyle that our society pushes, because like, that's not for me. But then they're stuck in it between a whole rock and a hard place, because when they try to enter Christianity, some of the things that people ask of them is also kind of like, whoa, I'm not all the way there yet. I'm not all the way on that side. So I think there needs to be an individual kind of searching, which I think what Christianity at its core was, I read a lot of like, I'm also a man of wisdom. So I read a lot of like, early doctrine from like the early kind of like, priests, Meister Eckhart and, St. Augustine and all these people. And to understand that from then they had their own relationship with God. They had their own idea and they were struggling through that idea, but they understood that they believed, but they still went through that journey of trying to understand more. But that's kind of been lost right now, where individuals will go on their own journey towards God, wherever it's like we do it as a collective or we don't do it at all. And I don't see that as being the right way, but that's my 2 cents,
And even, there's an artist called Mick Jenkins. He has a line where he goes like, can read the same Bible, but people quote it different. And I think that's such a big thing. I think there's probably Christians, that all believe in God, but they all have different images and perceptions of God. And I think that's why spirituality is such a individual journey. I think there is a sense as well that we're all God, like all like a drop in the ocean. So we're all like the same. That we're all
different perspectives, the same thing.
All different perspectives of the same thing. But I think it's such an individual journey where you kind of can't take that away from someone. You can't really say, you have the wrong idea of God, because it's different for everyone. And everyone's journey to peace is different. There's some things that make someone else feel happy, and that might not be happiness to everyone. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's journey is different. Some people like meditation, other people don't. Some people find journeying the best way, other people find exercise. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's such an individual thing.
Absolutely.
It's hard to tell someone they're wrong when we could die and be wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I think like at the core of it, I think the basis of it is like, are you trying to do good?
Yeah.
I think we're at a point in life right where we can see, if you look at the world right now, there's so many people doing evil, like intentionally hurting people, intentionally causing destruction for their own selfish gain.
Yeah.
People on the side of good should not be fighting each other. We should not be disagreeing over like, what my good means or what your good means.
Yeah.
It's to eradicate evil, because there's so much good that can be done in the world,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of so important. It's like, it comes back to another question, like, what's your philosophy on life? What do you, and I'm asking you this question too, so give you a little bit of a lead up. But when you look at life, what do you think is the most important thing? What's your philosophy on life? How do you relate to people? How do you relate to yourself in what your purpose is? Like, how do you kind of look at other people? How do you treat people below you? How do you treat people above you? It's like that idea needs to be kind of revisited for each person, because I think on that idea is where you kind of base your life around.
Yeah.
So yeah, one question for you is I like to kind of wrap it up. So as we kind of wrap it up, I want to ask you that question too, and lead on to a discussion about that. What is your philosophy on life?
I think at the end of the day, we're all here for a finite amount of time. We just need to leave the world and people we need to leave the world better than it was before we came. So as long as I'm here, as long as we're here, let's just inspire each other. Let's lift each other up. Let's actually do what we love and inspire others to do the same. I think that's the main thing. There's so many times where we could be like, what's the meaning of life? What's this? And the meaning is what you put into it. You know what I mean? If you want it to mean nothing, then you're going to live like it means nothing. But if you're going to live like, I'm here to further society and try and do my best to help those around me, you're gonna do that.
Mm.
So, and I feel like, yeah, it's like you're saying, you want to be a good person.
Mm.
You want to be able to look in the mirror and be happy and feel like you're a decent person, be happy with what you see. That the real hell is feeling like you've made nothing of yourself, or
Mm.
you're not happy with who you are, or you're feeling guilty for things that you've done, the bad things you've done.
Mm.
So
There was this quote, such interrupt. There was this quote that it says, "The real hell is when you meet the person you could have been."
oh, now that's good.
And I was like,
Oh, yeah, that's mad.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's mad.
that's even another meaning. I think that's another purpose, is self-actualization. Like, if you use, because I feel like there's who you are, and then I think we all, in your mind, you kind of have an image of who you are, what you look like, what you're doing. So that's good. I think Big Sean has an album called I Decided, and it's like he kind of talks about that. He says, I think on the end of the album, he kind of says he imagines himself as someone who got at the end of the life and kind of just lived a life of regrets, feeling like he didn't reach his potential. And so he's kind of been given a second chance of, okay, now you get to live out and really live to your potential, being who you want to be, being who you want to be with, improving your society, going for the career you want, the life you want. And I think if we all think from that perspective, it's so easy to like live in the day and just not do it, or just procrastinate. And I know we all have dreams. But I think I was seeing a video, I think it was Triple H. He was talking to one interviewer. There's a girl on YouTube, I think her name is Jazzy's World.
It's a little girl that
the little girl that interviews people. She was interviewing Triple H. And he says, the fine line between a dream and a goal is, a dream is just something that you think about, and a goal is you setting that dream into action. So I'm like, rah. So I think that's the main thing. Like, we all have dreams, but they can feel scary. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I think about our dreams and then feel scary. But do we actually want to take that path to put in the work, to put in the extra hours to actually get to that place?
I completely agree with you. I think for me, how I always conceptualized it was like, I saw this thing and it was talking about like, oh, this guy, there was like two, like, it's like a meme basically. One is like, oh, I want to do this thing, but it'll take 5 years. Another person's like, yeah, but that time will pass anyway. And it was like me understanding that no matter what I do, that time will pass.
Yeah.
Like, so when you talk about like, we're here for a finite amount of time, no matter what I do, I'm going to come to the end of my life.
Yeah.
When I come to the end of life, what am I saying about how I've spent that time? You know, and it's like, there's so many ways. There's like positive like visualization, imagining the life that you want, like looking at it in your mind, like really feeling it, sitting in it. Like, what does it mean to, like, how's your relationship with your parents? How's the relationship with your partner? How's the relationship with your work? Sitting in that and imagining the opposite. You know, if everything goes wrong in 5 years, what are you doing? And then feeling that emotion is like, oh, I really don't want that. And he's like, I think that kind of like will help you get over the procrastination. Because it's like, okay, you can procrastinate. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're procrastinating, not thinking about the emotion that that's going to bring in the future. Not thinking about, actually, wait, if this path just keeps going, that's my path. There's no like doubt in that. There's not going to be a hero who's going to come into your life and completely change it. Yeah. It's going to be yourself. So you got to make that decision yourself. Starts with you. And I think there's a lot of like, first there's a lot of self-understanding. I think that's why your idea of the world peace is really like hitting. Like, because it starts with the self. Once you kind of like understand that about yourself, understand your role in your own suffering, understand your role in your own happiness, then you can start to make ways and you can start to like direct your life in a way which is like what you want to live. I think that's so important. That's more important than anything, you know? Bringing it back to like practical kind of applications. I know one of the things you're big in, and I want to finish, but I wanted to do this before we finished. One of the things you're big in is like going to the community, giving back to the community, joining programs and, you know, helping out that way. First, how did you get involved in that? How can other people get involved in that? What do you think people can do, like practically, to kind of help in a community that they're currently in?
How did I get into that? So I've been doing youth work I've been in youth work since 2021. And that actually came from me being on youth programs. So I was on a program at the Horniman Museum.
Shout out Horniman Museum.
Shout out Horniman Museum, where they like done a program on how to teach young people how to run events. And through them I met a company called Spiral that were helping facilitate it. And they grew a liking to me and they brought me to Brixton where they do youth work and stuff. So they're a company I've been working with, and they're kind of my introduction to youth work and actually being in the community. So I've done a lot of stuff in Lambeth where we do youth work, working at youth centres, looking after young people, running events. And I just learned, like, a lot of young people just need influences and good influences and positive role models to just kind of steer their life into the right direction. A lot of young people don't have parents that really look after them or give them the things that they need. And I've just been lucky to meet people and to work with organizations or be on programs with organizations that really just want to give back. So through that, they've kind of poured into me, and I've just learned to pour into others. So yeah, man, I think through youth work, I just learned, how to just really mentor young people and give them the space to grow, give them places to thrive, to have fun, and to be themselves, to learn about life and learn about who they are. That's kind of how I got into it. Kind of found me, and I passed it on. Yeah.
Dude, I really rate that, man. I think it's so important. We can talk about all these ideas and like what it means to be, what is the meaning of life and what you want to do, philosophy. But like, there's someone out there, there's a kid out there that's waiting for someone like you.
Yeah.
That only you can reach because he or she will get what you're trying to do because they've been through your experience, and like, when someone once told me that like you not achieving your goals is leaving a hole in the world the size of you.
Wow.
It's like that's kind of the same with like the influence you can do. You know what I mean? It's like if you fill that hole, then someone out there will actually be grateful for it. And I think doing stuff like that, like I remember when I first finished my masters, the first thing I did
was a masters.
Did a masters in creative writing. I'm 27. Whoa, shut up.
No, how old am I? 25.
Yeah.
27,
I know. And I get that a lot. I just turned 27, to be fair.
Oh,
like literally, like last month. But
happy birthday.
Thank you.
But you said you're Libras. Or when's your birthday?
19th of October.
I'm the 18th, bro.
Right, that's crazy, brother. That's sick. I didn't know, bro. But yeah, when I finished my masters, the first thing I did. So I was born in Ghana.
Okay.
I was born in Ghana. I came on when I was 6.
All right.
So I went back to the school that I was when I was in Ghana and taught at that school. I taught English at that school for like for like a month or something. And to me, that felt like a full circle moment of giving back to the people that taught me. Because I saw like they had no, the maths teacher was the English teacher. They had no and he was doing it from a textbook. So obviously it's Africa, it's Ghana. They don't really have the resources like that.
Yes.
So me just going back there and offering to volunteer to kind of teach them was massive. And kind of putting that idea in my head, actually, I want to do that more. I want to be more of like, one small thing to me is a big thing to another person. So like trying to do that more. So like I rate what you're doing. I think it's sick. I think 100% keep doing that. I think, everything you're doing, from your poetry to, the clothing brand and to obviously the youth work you do, is really putting your mouth where your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Or your time where your mouth is, like you're trying to actually put your time into like these things and show that if you want to be a positive influence in the world, you got to actually be a positive influence in the world.
Yeah.
You can't just talk about it. I think our generation is too stuck on like talking about change and actually being part of the change. So I rate you for that, bro.
It's easy to talk about it. It's easy to talk about it. I struggle as well I think we all struggle to actually now put the action in, to actually get to action. But it makes a big difference. And I think even before I started doing youth work, I didn't even know it existed. I didn't know that was a thing. And it's made me see like a lot of my colleagues, you go from that are youth workers, they had those role models to actually look after them and steer them into directions. Like even like a bad kid is not really a bad kid. They're just a kid that's misguided. And it's important that we all look, and it comes back to OP. It's important that we all look after each other. You know?
100%.
Each one teach one, and yeah, man.
100%, bro. Thank you so much for your time today.
For having me.
Of course, man. I think, like I said, like what you're doing is super, super impressive.
Likewise, bro.
I hope like people get to like check you out, check out the things you're doing, understand what you're doing, support in any way, you know, like big you up. Kind of like, because you know, there's more to be done for our generation. You know? Like the more kind of I learn about the world, the more I know that like, you know, we can do more.
Yeah.
And we can't, like, there's this idea that the world is helpless. I don't think that's true. Then we could do more. And I think I like the fact that you're out there doing that. So shout out to you, bro. Thank you for coming and joining me today.
Thank you, man. Anytime.
Bro, thank you, man. And bro, and thank you for watching. Until next time, peace.